Shalom, Israel. Those who are online, blessed Sabbath to everyone. Blessed Sabbath to everyone. Sorry about the delay. Just trying to get things straightened out. Running a little late, but we're gonna jump right into it. So today's title, as you can see, is the seventh month of the Hebrew calendar. Right. So during the 7th month, a lot of things happen. This is one of our busiest months throughout the year. Okay. And why is it the busiest month throughout the year? Because I have a question behind it. And the question is, it says, how many Sabbaths are there in the 7th month? That's a question. So I record, Rasha, y'all not included. But anybody in the house can figure out how many Sabbaths within this 1 month, which is the 7th month. Okay, you say 4. Anybody else? We're gonna get into it too, because I'm gonna go through it, and because it's really like I said, when it said the busiest, it is the busiest. But within that time period, the Most High has allowed us to blow the trumpet, and what we're supposed to be doing in this month, we're supposed to be alerting our people on what's actually taking place. So if the Most High put this month as one of the busiest, things in the turmoil within the earth is going to be stirred up as well. Iroquois did a very nice DSTM. I'll get you DSTM, and I wanted to go into current events, but he covered it so well that I was like, you know what, I got to switch up. But I said I also wanted to bring something out because that 7th month is just so significant to our nation. Okay. So you said how many? 9. Okay. You say 9. All right. Right. So 9 to 10. So we're gonna get into it. So somebody said 9. Somebody said 10. So what we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it. Let's first of all, we got what? For 1 month, we have how many Sabbaths in 1 month? Weekly Sabbaths. 4. So let's start off with the 4. Let's get Genesis chapter 2 and verse 1 and 3. So we're gonna start off. So we know there's 4, and those 4, like I said, we carry out every week, but just keep in mind that weekly Sabbath is very important. I'm going to bring out some key things within that weekly Sabbath, then we can continue on our count. All right, go ahead. Genesis chapter 2 and verses 1.
The book of Genesis chapter 2 and verse 1. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the 7th day, God ended his work which he had made.
Okay.
And he rested on the 7th day from all his work which he had made.
Right. So now here's that 7th day we talking about. Now that 7th month, that 7th day. I'm gonna stick with this 7 because this number 7 is very significant throughout the whole scriptures. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that 7th day, but he chose that 7th day from the beginning. So we're talking about the Heavenly Father who created the sun, the moon, the stars. I mean, he's surrounded, that number 7 to give us inklings on how he structured things. Okay, so he said that on that 7th day, verse 3.
Verse 3. And God blessed the 7th day.
Right. Now he said he blessed the 7th day. Mm-hmm. So if you kind of look at it, like I said, I ain't dealing with no numerology, anything like that, but he blessed that number 7. So just want to give y'all something to think about when we dealing with the 7th month. And as we go through the 7th month and find out how many Sabbaths actually is within that 1 month, it's going to start to put things together and you start to recognize like, wow, Plus, I want to bring out a couple of key scriptures that surround that number 7 as well. So he did what? He blessed the 7th day. Go ahead.
God blessed the 7th day and sanctified it.
And he said he sanctified it as well. So he sanctified it. Go ahead.
Because that in it he had rested from all his work which God created and made.
Okay, so now we're supposed to take that holy day, that particular day, and we're supposed to reverence him every week. And we're supposed to stop from our labor, and we're supposed to give thanks to him as well as rest our bodies. Now, this has been going on since Genesis. Okay. I want you guys to write down. I'm not going to go into the Sabbath day, but just to find out the significance of the Sabbath day and things about it, the 7-day weekly Sabbath, you guys should write down Exodus chapter 31 and verses 14 through 18, and Leviticus chapter 23, verses 1 through 3. Okay, and then now we're going to go to Isaiah chapter 58 and verse 13. Because just keep in mind that Sabbath started in Genesis when he formulated and created all things upon the face of the earth. And he said he rested on that day and then he sanctified it. So, and just think of it this way. Out of the billions of people that's on the face of the earth, we recognize the Most High blessed us with this understanding about this one particular day, which is the Sabbath, and we honor and reverence him. But look at the billions of people that's not. They're going about their business. You know, they're doing things outside of the Sabbath because there's certain rules that you have to, that the Most High set for that particular day, things that you're not supposed to be doing. Okay, then not only that, but the blessing alone to understand the 7th month as well and all the rest of the feast days. I want y'all to meditate on that because that's very special. And then a lot of times I'm having conversations and I share this with sisters and brothers, you know, who I meet, especially at the job, because, you know, you have more at least I do. I have more conversations at work than anything. And I just pick, you know, certain brothers, 10 tribe brothers, as well as other brothers. They mind and have you ever heard of this? Have you ever heard of that? They be like, I ain't never heard of that. I said, okay. Do you read your Bible? They said, yeah. So when I see and responses like that, I think about, well, damn, how blessed I am, how chosen we are. We are chosen people, but Most High is choosing Israel because we always got to remember about that 2/3, that 2/3 and that 1/3. Always got to remember about that. So Isaiah chapter 58 and read 13 and 14.
Book of Isaiah chapter 58 and verse 13. If thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath.
Right. So now we're talking about the Sabbath, like I said. So now we're dealing with let's say the 7th month. So in this month, we got 4 Sabbaths. So we got 4 already. All right. So go ahead. Now we're going to give certain things about what the Most High have said and what the message he's given us about reverencing the Sabbath day. Go ahead.
From doing thy pleasure on my holy day.
See, from doing thy pleasure. Things that you like to do. Set those things aside, and he's going to tell you to reverence him. Go ahead.
And call the Sabbath a delight. The holy of the Lord, honorable, and shall honor him.
See, honorable and shall honor him. Going way back in Genesis. Go ahead.
Not doing thine own ways, nor finding thine own pleasure.
Right. Now, those are the stipulations he's telling you. Because once he tells you certain instructions about that, he's going to tell you the consequences if you start to do these things. The 7th day is Saturday, right, of the week. And that's the day that you set these things aside, what you're not supposed to be doing your own pleasure. Like you said, honoring him, reverencing him. Go ahead.
Nor speaking thine own words.
See, nor speaking our own words. Go ahead.
Then shalt thou delight thyself in the Lord, and I will cause thee to ride upon the high places of the earth.
See, this is a promise that he's given us. For those of us who has been, you know, reverencing the Sabbath day and been respecting the Sabbath day, and, you know, this is what we have to look forward to. He said he's going to have us to do what? Thou should delight thyself. He said, ride upon the high places upon the earth, meaning rulership. So every time that we actually, and then another thing too is like, man, you just take a deep breath and just go, ah, good grief, that week is done. So now we get a chance to concentrate and give our attention to the Most High a little bit more than we do so throughout the week. Starting from the top.
Verse 14. Then shalt thou delight thyself in the Lord, and I will cause thee to ride upon the high places of the earth, and feed thee with the heritage of Jacob thy father, from the mouth of the Lord have spoken.
See, the heritage of Jacob, right? The heritage of Jacob, which is his 12 sons. But then it says, put it this way. When he say the heritage of Jacob, we're talking about heaven. Okay. In the book of Revelations, I think it's 21, is when it's talking about when it actually tells us that there was this, New Jerusalem coming down from heaven with them pearly gates. But it says also, that's where they stop it. But it says also, upon those pearly gates are the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. So we're talking about that type of heritage that the Heavenly Father has gave us as Israelites to reverence his Sabbath. And then it says what? He said, it says, for the mouth of the Lord has spoken it. So there's no going back. You know what I'm saying? The Most High is not going to go back and say, nah, y'all been too hard-headed. Y'all been too this. No. He said, the mouth of the Lord has spoken it. So there's nothing can deny us receiving this heritage that the Heavenly Father left for us. So we have to always think about that when we're dealing with that weekly Sabbath day. It is a holy Sabbath day. It is a reverence to him. Okay. There's two things, there's some keys as well that I would like to bring out about the Sabbath, right? And why is it so important when you're dealing with our feast days? Now, that particular 7th day give reverence over all of the feast days. And I'll give you an example, because I got one down here that says the keys of the Sabbath. So there's no cooking on the Sabbath. So let's say if we had a feast day that fell on the weekly Sabbath, and we usually give a feast. We usually cook or bring something or buy something and do things like that. But if it falls upon the weekly Sabbath, we can't cook anything because we reverence and give that weekly Sabbath first its respect first, meaning that there's certain stipulations that we cannot do, even if it's a feast day. So when that feast day, whatever feast day may be, when it falls upon that weekly Sabbath and the Sabbath says no cooking, then we have to do adjustments to our menu, because that weekly Sabbath governs everything. And that even started from, that's why I went to Genesis chapter 2. Okay. Then one more thing, which is a different lesson, but we have to understand the resurrection of Christ. And the reason I brought that out is because when you dealing with the resurrection of Christ, and they saying that he was going to be risen in the third day, you got to understand that a lot of people get mixed up with that, and they start counting the wrong time, because if you understand the scriptures, it'll tell you that they reverence first that weekly Sabbath first, and then they start to count. But like I said, it's another lesson. But I just wanted to bring that out. The resurrection of Christ is very important. Go ahead. Brother got a precept. 2 Maccabees 6 and 11. Go ahead,
Book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 6 and verse 11. And others that have run together into caves nearby to keep the Sabbath day secretly.
Right. So here we are. So now it says that they ran into the cave secretly. Go ahead.
Who ran into the caves nearby to keep the Sabbath day secretly, being discovered to Philip, were all burnt together because they made a conscience to help themselves for the honor of the most sacred day.
That's right. So they actually was put to death because they refused not to engage into the battle on the Sabbath day. And he said that all of them was what? They were burned
and burnt together. Yeah.
Yes, they were all burned together. This is how sacred they understood the Sabbath day. And this is what, during that time, our sisters and brothers during the Maccabees time, this is what happened to them. Go ahead.
Yeah, just to show that the Sabbath was being defiled, it wasn't the temple was being defiled and the whole nine. And Israel was trying to maintain and keep the most sacred day. So just giving the precept regarding why the weekly Sabbath supersedes all the other feast days. So if Memorial blowing the trumpets fell on the weekly Sabbath,
right?
The weekly Sabbath rules apply because it's the most sacred day, and it was the first Sabbath created before the holy days was enacted. That was number one. So that one always remains number one on the hierarchy of
the Sabbath. That's right. That's right. Was it all of that?
That was 11, yeah.
Out of 11? Okay. You know what? Read 12.
Verse 12. Now I beseech those that read this book.
So now it's telling us this is the history that we actually go back and start to understand our forefathers and what they went through. Go ahead.
That they be not discouraged for these calamities.
So now it said, don't be discouraged of these calamities, even though they was burned alive, but we're not to be discouraged for these calamities. But what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to take notes. We're supposed to take and in our mind and our spirit and say, if our sisters and brothers was put to death in that fashion, in that way, because they didn't want to defile the Sabbath day, okay, look at us now. It's something that we have to put a conscience in our mind and say, well, I'm gonna try to do the best to my ability to uphold this weekly Sabbath, because there's a long history behind it as well, and this is one of them. Go ahead.
That they be not discouraged of these calamities, but that they judge those punishments not to be for destruction.
See, not to be for destruction. Go ahead.
But for a chastening of our nation.
That's right, for a chastening of our nation. And when it says chastening, and not to be discouraged, because even though they were put to death in a gruesome way, but it gives us more reverence and give us more faith that we can pull back from the history to continue to do what? To reverence the Most High on his holy day. Okay, on his holy day. So, like I said, the resurrection of Christ, and then the other one is what's so important about the number 7 and dealing with the Sabbath, the weekly Sabbath, is how we calculate Pentecost. Because with our weekly Sabbath, and we recognize it, in Pentecost, we have to do what? We have to count, 7 Sabbaths after Feast of Unleavened Bread. So very significant about this number 7 and the weekly Sabbath, because if we start to do the weekly Sabbath, some other day, then how the calculations would be all off, be all wrong. So I just wanted to bring that out real quick. So now I want to continue on this one particular number 7. And I want to bring out just a few precepts, because remember, we're dealing with, as the title says, the 7th month of the Hebrew calendar. How many Sabbaths are there? I'm going to repeat that because I got 9, I got 10. So we're going to go through it. So far we got, he said 8. That's a good one though. So just dealing with this number 7. Let's get Genesis chapter 41. Yeah, Genesis chapter 41. And start at 25. Just to bring out some more, precepts that's dealing with this number 7. As I was, kind of putting my things together, I was like, wow, 7, it circulates a lot throughout, the scriptures and throughout the history of Israel. But I always have to fade back to Genesis chapter 2, always, because the Most High said he sanctified it and he rested upon that day. When you get it, go ahead.
Book of Genesis chapter 41, verse 25. And Joseph said unto Pharaoh, the dream of Pharaoh is one. God hath showed Pharaoh what he is about to do. Okay,
so now I'm just jumping ahead, right? Because we know that Joseph, one of the brothers of the 12 tribes, but this is when he was cast into the dungeon, right? And Pharaoh, the Most High, put a dream on Pharaoh's mind, and nobody could interpret it. So I'm quite sure y'all have, if you haven't heard of the story, you need to go back and read it. So it's significant how the Most High put this number 7 in this, because now we have to remember this was the start and the beginning of the 12 sons in Egypt. And then what came out of Egypt was a vast multitude. And not only that, but we made Egypt the greatness of what it is throughout history today. It's because of the 12 tribes went in there. But I just want to bring this as thought based upon this dream that Pharaoh had. Go ahead.
Verse 26. The 7 good kind are 7 years.
The what? The 7 what?
The 7 good kind are 7 years.
Isn't that something? He says, so the 7 good kind are 7 years. Go ahead.
And the 7 good ears are 7 years.
So now we got 7 again. Go ahead.
The dream is one.
The dream is one. Go ahead.
And the 7 thin and ill-favored kind that came up after the 7 are 7 years.
So just keep that in mind, because we're going to continue to read. But think of this too. When you go and read it, Pharaoh was putting people to death. He called up the wizards and they couldn't figure it out. He was like, put them to death. He was putting people to death because they couldn't interpret this dream. But the Most High had a divine plan for Joseph as well as the whole nation of Israel based upon this one dream and this number 7. Go ahead.
And the 7 empty ears blasted with the east wind shall be 7 years of famine.
Mm-hmm.
This is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh. What God is about to do, he showeth unto Pharaoh. Behold, there come 7 years of great plenty throughout the land of Egypt, and there shall rise after them 7 years of famine, and all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine shall consume the land. And the plenty shall not be known in the land by reason of that famine following, for it shall be very grievous.
So it should be very grievous. So I just wanted to bring that out, like I said, to just bring out that number 7. Now from there, Joseph had rose up to be Pharaoh's second hand in man. He was like, it was Pharaoh number 1, it was Joseph number 2. And then from there, we know the history of how his brothers came, and we know the history of how that the children of Israel prospered to the point where they have history books now that say that this, at the time that the Israelites was there, I have to say Israelites, I got to say the Hebrew Israelites that was there in Egypt, Egypt prospered and was the biggest kingdom on the face of the earth. Okay, so get Jeremiah chapter 34 and verse 13 and 14. So I'm gonna jump in and jump out, but I just want to just give this number 7. I want to put some emphasis on this number 7. Jeremiah chapter 34, and we're gonna read 13 and 14.
Book of Jeremiah, chapter 34, and verse 13. Therefore the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, Thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, I made a covenant with your fathers in the day that I brought them forth out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
See, out of the house of bondage. Now he wants us to remember that.
Yeah, house of bondmen, not bondage.
Okay. But he wanted to put an emphasis. Most have always put an emphasis throughout history about how he brought us out of the land of Egypt. Okay. So he said, now read 14.
Verse 14. At the end of 7 years, let ye go every man his brother in Hebrew.
That's right. So now he gets given an understanding. Now, when we say the 7 years, I just want to bring out that number 7. So we're talking about Jubilee. And he's telling you that after 7 years, you should let your brother, I'm sorry, read it. It's on the top again.
And at the end of 7 years, let ye go every man his brother in Hebrew,
go ahead,
which hath been sold unto thee. And when he have served thee 6 years, thou shalt let him go from thee. But your fathers hearken unto me not unto me, neither incline their ear.
That's right. So now he's just giving that information about how we're supposed to let our brothers go during Jubilee. But once again, that emphasis on 7. Okay, on 7. So now I'm gonna bring out about 3 more scriptures on 7, and then I'm gonna move on so we can get to the next Sabbath that's dealing with the 7th month. Revelations, book of Revelations, chapter 1 and verse 4. Because we, like I said, then as I was looking up, I'm like, wow, this 7, this everything is formulated around this number 7. And then by us being in this season of memorial blowing of the trumpets, which is the 7th month, popped in my mind. And this is a question that we got from our soldiers program, right? Which is phenomenal. You know, our soldiers program was on point. And we learned so much. I ain't okay. It opened up my eyes so much. But so I wanted to actually just bring that out because we should know every year when this 7th month comes around, then we start preparing ourselves. And it's a funny thing. I always run out of like either sick days and vacation time around this time. So from now until after Tabernacles, right? If I miss any days, I get written up, you know, verbal and all that, day suspension and all this other crap. But I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Because it usually happens to fall every year, and I make preparations and knowing that these days have to be reverenced. I have to get these days off no matter what. Okay. Revelations 1 and verse 4.
Verse 4.
Now, mind you, when he's reading this, I'm just bringing out just certain precepts that's concerning the number 7. Go ahead.
John to the 7 churches which are in Asia.
See, John to the 7 churches which are in Asia. So now It's being prophecies being revealed. Go ahead.
Grace be unto you,
Mhm.
and peace from him which is, and which was, and which is to come, and from the seven spirits which are before his throne.
Now he said, and which are the seven spirits which is before his throne. So now with this number 7, there's what? 7 churches, but then there's 7 spirits that's around the throne of the Most High God. 7 once again. I'll stay in Revelations, go to Revelations chapter 15 and verse 1. 15 and 1.
Book of Revelation, chapter 15 and verse 1. And I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels.
How many angels?
7 angels, having the 7 last plagues.
So now we're in prophecy. All of the things that's happening upon the earth right now. I mean, wars, rumors of wars. I mean, famine, floods, everything that's happening right now. And the Most High always gave us prophecy and forewarning about what's actually happening, what's taking place. Okay. So when he said, I saw signs from heaven, a great marvel, 7 angels. Once again, 7 angels. Go ahead.
7 angels having the 7 last plagues.
See, now we're talking about plagues, not man-made plagues. We're talking about these plagues that are coming from the Most High. So there's no cure, there's no shot, there's nothing that's going to, protect humans from this earth when the Most High started placing his plagues upon the earth. Okay, but we know that we'll be shielded because why? Because he loves his people. He's always protect us. Even if the plagues did hit, there was even in Goshen. Let's go back to even Egypt. When Most High put those 10 plagues out there, Goshen was protected from all of that. From all of that. So it's the same thing here. But just keep in mind when it says 7 angels with seven plagues. Go ahead.
7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them is filled up the wrath of God.
See, in them is filled with the wrath of God. That's number 7 again. I got like 3 more, and then I'm gonna leave 7 alone. Let's go to Numbers. Numbers chapter 28. Numbers chapter 20. Go back into the law, dealing with this number 7. But keep in mind now, I know I'm bringing out 7, but it's the 7th month that we in. So, and we just started. Like I go ahead brought out. It's just it's dealing with Russia. Then from Russia, we dealing with the Israel that's over there and going to war with Iran and all of this. This thing has just started up. This is what, the 5th? This is the 5th day of this so-called month. So there's a lot more to come. Who knows? Okay. 28 and verse 17.
The book of Numbers, chapter 28 and verse 17.
Mm-hmm.
And in the 15th day of this month is the feast. 7 days shall unleavened bread be eaten.
So now here we go, the Passover, our beginning of our years. The Most High gave a specific 7 days we should eat unleavened bread. So let's not take that number 7 for granted. Stay in Numbers and give me 19 and 14. So now we know that 7 days we eat unleavened bread. For those who have done the Passover for so many years, 7 pops up again. But remember, it started from Genesis 19 and verse 14. Numbers chapter 19 and verse 14.
Verse 14. This is the law, when a man dieth in a tent, that he come into the tent, and all that is in the tent shall be unclean 7 days.
7 days. Now I had other ones, but I'm like, they just keep popping up. I'm like, wow, this is 7, right? And I'm like, okay. And I, with my Torah Tuesday, I'm always into the law reading. I'm like, there's 7 days. But Rasha always said 7 is the number of completion. And we understand that, like I said, from Genesis chapter 2. Okay. So now one more dealing with the 7 that I had to just bring out. This is the one to make you think in the book of Luke. Book of Luke chapter 11. And we're going to read 26. This one makes you think, dealing with that number 7. Luke 11 and verse 26.
The book of Luke, chapter 11, verse 26. Then goeth he, and taketh to him 7 other spirits more wicked than himself.
So now we're talking about the 7 again. So it said this is dealing with, this unclean spirit that was in, well, actually, it's dealing with a parable. It's dealing with a parable saying that, if this guy had fallen off, right, and fought those spirits off of him, and then he goes back to start doing this, the same, sinful things that he did. It said that what he do to himself is he gathered 7 more unclean spirits unto himself. Why 7? Why not 2? Why not 1? But like I said, 7 is the number of completion. Started from the top.
Verse 26. Then goeth he and taketh to him 7 other spirits more wicked than himself.
More wicked than himself. Go ahead.
And they enter in and dwell there. And the last state of a man is worse than the first.
Than the first. Just to make you think. So we're going to go on. So that's 4. All right. So that's 4. So now let's just deal with, that's 4. Let's deal with 5. Okay. Dealing with the 7th month. So we got the Sabbaths out the way. So now let's get Leviticus chapter 23. And as he reading, we're going to give this particular scripture. Leviticus chapter 23 and start at 23.
Book of Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 23. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month, in the first day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath.
Have a what?
In the first day of the month shall ye have a Sabbath.
Okay, that's a Sabbath. Go ahead.
A memorial of blowing of trumpets.
A memorial blowing of trumpets. So that's number 5. Okay, so that's number 5. Keep reading.
A holy convocation.
A holy convocation.
You shall do no servile work therein, but you shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord.
There we go. So now it says, so now that's number 5. So we got the weekly, that's 4. Then we got memorial blowing of the trumpets. He recognized that as a Sabbath. Okay, let's go to Numbers. So we can just put just a little bit more emphasis on trumpets. And then we're going to move down to the other feast days, but the other holy days that he placed in the month of the 7th month. Numbers chapter 10 and 10 dealing with the trumpets, memorial blowing of the trumpets. Now, also remember that this trumpet is to be blown to give warning to our people, right? So at this particular time, during this season here, which we just passed, we just had a trumpet service. Mind you, that trumpets will always fall on a new moon, because it said in the beginning of your month. So we know the beginning of our months is what? A new moon. Just keep that in mind. So trumpets will never fall on no other day, but it will always fall on that new moon. Okay, of that month, the new moon of that month. Okay. Start at Numbers chapter 10, start at 1 and read down to 10.
The book of Numbers chapter 10 and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Make thee 2 trumpets of silver, of a whole piece shalt thou make them, that thou mayest use them for the calling of the assembly and for the journeying of the camps. So
now this is what this trumpet is supposed to do. It's supposed to alert our people, guide our people. So when we're dealing with trumpets, the feast day, when it comes around throughout the year, right, and we're blowing, then this is significant for us to understand that this is how the Most High want this particular feast day to be done. Where you at? Verse 3. Go ahead.
Verse 3. And when they shall blow with them, all the assembly shall assemble themselves to thee at the door of the tabernacle.
At the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. So now, and once we start to blow, this is one thing. People may hear it, but they don't know what it is. Once again, that's how blessed we are. That's how truly blessed we are. Go ahead.
And if they blow but with one trumpet, then the princes, which are heads of the thousands of Israel, shall gather themselves together unto thee. When ye blow an alarm, then the camps that lie in the eastern part shall go forward. When ye blow an alarm the second time, then the camp that lie on the south side shall take their journey.
Right. So now he's telling you, when you hear these sounds of these trumpets, this is how the Israelites was moving. This is how he organized and construct things on how that, because remember, we were army. Okay, we was an army. So you know the men are always going to go first, and then the women and children is going to fall behind and move accordingly as these horns are being blown. Go ahead.
They shall blow an alarm for their journeys. But when the congregation is to be gathered together, ye shall blow, but ye shall not sound an alarm.
Mm-hmm.
And the sons of Aaron, the priest, shall blow with the trumpets, and they shall be to you for an ordinance forever throughout your generations.
Forever throughout our generations. So we're here blowing, like we said. Uh-oh. We blow because we still learning, and then once of that, when you also read a lot of the trumpets, the Most High had them to put like certain metals, because on certain trumpet, it'll make a different sound that we can gather ourselves or like you say, on our journey. But also remember too, as these trumpets were being blown, these other nations that was around about us, they were trembling in their boots. They were trembling in their boots because everybody was afraid of the Israelites once they started to move. Once we was on the move, they were like, uh-oh, the Israelites on the move. Everybody just get ready. We don't know where they're going, but it seems like they're going this way because the horn is blowing this on the south, or that's going that way because the horn is on the north, So, they were scattered and just wondering, what are they going? Where are they going? What are they going to do? But the Most High had it all planned and written down for us. Okay, read on.
Verse 9. And if you go to war in your land against the enemy that oppresseth.
So now we had a trumpet sound that will be released to let us know when to go to war. That's significant as well. Go ahead.
Then ye shall blow an alarm with the trumpets, and ye shall be remembered before the Lord your God, and ye shall be saved from your enemies.
And we shall be saved from our enemies. But it says the Lord said he will remember. So as we continue to blow our trumpets during our feast days, the Lord, he's taking ear to that, because it ain't coming from nowhere else. It's not coming from nowhere else, no other nation other than the small hats, but we know the reason why they're blowing it. But the Most High ain't hearing that. But he want to hear them little Negroes and Latinos that's stuck here in America and around the world. And it's a like this little horn there. They got some horns that's going about this big that makes a different sound. But he's particular about, what tune is coming out of these horns that the Heavenly Father has left us, though. All right. Was that 10? Go ahead.
Verse 10. Also in the day of.
But you know what he said, that he said the Lord will remember, and he said, and ye shall save us from our enemies. So even as the time that we living in now, which is trying times, we continue to start blowing our trumpet, and the Most High will hear it, and he's also going to protect us from our enemies. Go ahead, 10.
Verse 10. Also in the day of your gladness, in your solemn days, and in the beginning of your months, you shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offerings, and over the sacrifices of your peace offerings, that they may be to you for a memorial before your God. I am the Lord, your God.
See, he is the Lord our God. So very significant. And guess what? It's only very few people that's doing it. That's how we bless. Okay, that's how truly we bless. Let's go to Psalms. The book of Psalms, chapter 81. And we're going to read 1 through 5. So yes, these trumpets are very, very important throughout our nation, and how we blow them and when we blow them. Okay. And we blow, we blow our trumpets every weekly Sabbath. I tend to forget mine a lot, but Arico, he's on it. And Rasha, he got his. I just sit back and say, shame on you. That's right. That harms you. What I say, 81? 81 in verse, 81 in verse 1.
Book of Psalms, chapter 81 and verse 1. Sing aloud unto God our strength. Make a joyful noise unto the God of Jacob.
That's what we did. This coming up, this trumpets we did. Go ahead.
Take a psalm and bring hither the timbrel, and pleasant harp with psaltery. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon, in the appointed time on your solemn feast day.
In our appointed time during our solemn feast days. Go ahead.
For this was a statute for Israel and a law of the God of Jacob.
See, that's a law. This is part of the law that the Heavenly Father has given us, so that he can recognize us and recognize that we're doing right as well. Okay, go ahead.
This he ordained in Joseph for a testimony, when he went out through the land of Egypt, where I heard a language that I understood not.
See, that he understood not. So that's very special. It's very special. Trump is a very, very special. And we try to uphold it the best way we can in our captivity. And other brothers around the country are also, recognizing it too. And when it's time for the Most High to gather us and to protect us, trust me, he's gonna come through. We have this whole history book that shows he's always came through from his peak for his people, always. So that's number 5. Let's go to number 6. Number 6 will be the Day of Atonement, still within the 7th month. Leviticus chapter 16 and verses, let's see, 16 and 29. I don't want to go to Leviticus 23 because we beating. I'm gonna beat up Leviticus chapter 23. I'm gonna beat that up. It's gonna be all day. 16 and verse 29 and 30. 31.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 16, and verse 29. And this shall be a statute forever unto you.
Right.
That in the 7th month, on the 10th day of the month, ye shall afflict your souls and do no work at all.
Right. So now he was talking about the 7th month. Read that from the top again. We're going to stop when we get to that 7th month on the 10th day. Go ahead.
And this shall be a statute forever unto you, that in the 7th month.
Now with that 7th month, go ahead.
On the 10th day of the month, ye shall afflict your souls and do no work at all, whether it be one of your own country or a stranger that sojourneth among you.
That's right. Everything and everybody is going to recognize this particular holy day. Now, also when it says, let's see, when it says, do no work in that day, right? Continue on. Let's go to 30. It's going to explain itself.
Verse 30. For on that day shall the priest make an atonement for you to cleanse you.
Right. That is the key. This is what atonement. We are to afflict our souls because this is the time of the year where the Most High said that they will make an atonement. The priest will make an atonement for us to cleanse us. Go ahead.
That ye may be clean from all your sins before the Lord.
Before the Lord, go ahead.
It shall be a Sabbath of rest unto you.
Right. Okay, so now there we are. It's number 6. It shall be a Sabbath unto you. So now keep going.
And ye shall afflict your souls by a statute forever.
See, we shall afflict our souls for a statute forever. So that's atonement. The Most High said that he would do what? He would cleanse us. For all what we did throughout the whole year, we get that one day to actually just come to him and say, Father, I'm sorry. I recognize, certain things and I need to clean myself up. And thank you for giving me that particular day. And on that day of atonement, just to give a little brief stipulations on it, is that, you don't brush your teeth, you don't bathe, of course you don't eat, because it's atonement. You actually, putting that up for affliction. It's your day to for you to meditate and to come to the Most High and just apologize. And we all need that, period. We all need that. And all praises to him that he even give us that one particular day for us to come and say, this day is yours, Father. This day is yours. Okay, I'm gonna stick with Day of Atonement. Let's get Leviticus 23. I'm gonna go in 23 now. I know I'm gonna beat him up, but yeah, exactly. You can't avoid it. Man, I got 23 down here so many times. Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 26. Start at 26. But remember now, in that one verse in 16, it said it's a Sabbath. Okay, go ahead.
Book of Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 26.
Yeah.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, also on the 10th day of this 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement. It shall be a holy convocation unto you, and ye shall afflict your souls and offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. And ye shall do no work in that same day, for it is the day of atonement, to make an atonement for you before the Lord your God.
Okay, go ahead.
For whatsoever soul it shall be For whatsoever soul it be that shall not be afflicted in that same day, he shall be cut off from among his people.
Keep going.
And whatsoever soul it be that doeth any work in that same day, the same soul will I destroy from among his people.
So the Most High is serious about this. Now, understand this. He's saying that he would destroy us, and he's making it clear. But remember, it's for us to apologize to him. Okay. And it's another thing that throughout the years, everybody be worried about the babies. Oh, what about the babies? The babies ain't gonna eat. Oh, that's sin. You shouldn't do that. Other people that don't understand the Day of Atonement. You shouldn't do that. But honestly, the babies, they cry for like maybe a little bit, maybe an hour or so. Then after that, you don't hear nothing from them. Nothing at all. And they just go about their business, either they sleep or whatever. But that's the spirit that the Most High has placed upon them. That's the spirit that he placed upon them. Not only that, but that's our whole nation. Our whole nation is actually reverencing that particular holy day and asking the forgiveness of our Lord. So of course he's going to take care of us. And it's only but a couple of hours. But like I said, most of the time when I used to see the kids, shoot, once they get past that first 30 minutes to an hour, after that, they don't say anything. Okay, read on.
Verse 31. You shall do no manner of work. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generation and all your dwellings.
See, a statute forever throughout all our generation, throughout our dwellings. Period. So, Day of Atonement is number 6. So let's move on to number 7. Okay, so those who had said that there's only 6 days, nope, there ain't 6. So we're moving on to 7, which would be Leviticus, stay in Leviticus chapter 23 and verse, there you go. Verse start at 33.
Book of Leviticus chapter 22 and verse 33. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, The 15th day of this 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles.
There go that 7th month again. The Feast of Tabernacles. So that's number 7. Go ahead.
For 7 days unto the Lord. On the first day shall be a holy convocation.
For 7 days. You hear that? For 7 days. Go ahead.
On the first day shall be an holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein. 7 days you shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord.
Right.
On the 8th day shall be an holy convocation unto you.
Okay.
And ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord.
Okay.
It is a solemn assembly.
We're going to go back. We're going to go back so we can make sure that we're clear on dealing with tabernacles. And read that number 35 again.
Verse 35. On the first day shall be a holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein.
That's right. So now we're dealing with no servile work. Read 36.
7 days you shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord.
Right. So now that first day is what? That's a holy convocation. That's a Sabbath. Okay. Go ahead.
7 days you shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. On the 8th day shall be an holy convocation.
So now we have the 8th day. That should be a holy convocation as well. So now, I go back to the question: how many Sabbaths are there in the month of the 7th month? There's 8. There we go. 8 days. That's right. Because we have a Sabbath on the first day of Tabernacles, and we come together, a holy convocation, and then we go on the 8th day. It's a holy convocation, which is the Sabbath day. So there's 8 days, 8 Sabbath days in the month of the 7th month of the Hebrew calendar. Okay. Continue. Leads into the 8th month. That's right. Didn't think about that. That's right. Good point. Were you done with that one? We're gonna read down to 31.
41.
31. Actually, continue to read. We on 36. Go ahead.
7 days you shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. On the 8th day shall be an holy convocation unto you. And ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. Okay. It is a solemn assembly, and ye shall do no servile work therein.
Okay, go ahead.
These are the feasts of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, to offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord, a burnt offering and a meat offering, a sacrifice and drink offerings, everything upon his day.
Everything upon his day. Read on.
Beside the Sabbaths of the Lord.
Now it says beside the Sabbath of the Lord. So that's what I was speaking about earlier about that weekly Sabbath. See, besides that, but he said up early, he said these are the Most High's holy convocations. Okay, go ahead, verse 38.
Beside the Sabbaths of the Lord, and beside your gifts, and beside all your vows, and beside all your free will offerings, and which ye give unto the Lord. Also in the 15th day on the 7th month, when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land, ye shall keep the feast unto the Lord 7 days.
7 days, another 7 days. Go ahead.
On the first day shall be a Sabbath, and on the 8th shall be a Sabbath.
There we are. So that's when we come, and that's how that's given more well, not evidence, but it's pointing out that the first day of tabernacles is a Sabbath, and as well as the last day of tabernacle is a Sabbath. Like I said before, that gives you your 8. Okay. There was something I wanted to point out as well. Oh, and also dealing with the Feast of Tabernacles, I want to get this one scripture. It's Zechariah chapter 14 and verse 16 through 19. So there we have it. So now there's 8 Sabbaths that's actually being conducted in the 7th month of our calendar. That is a very, very busy month. Very busy month. Okay. Any questions?
Zechariah 14.
Yeah, Zechariah chapter 14.
15 through.
So now we can take all the guesswork out of how many Sabbaths we have. But just keep in mind too, like during the time of the trumpet, you know, it will always fall on a new moon. Always. 16, 14, and we're gonna read 16 through 19.
Gotcha. The book of Zechariah, chapter 14, and verse 16.
Right. So now he's going back, and I just want to bring out this one point dealing with tabernacles. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all nations which came against Jerusalem.
So now it says all the nations that came up against Jerusalem. Go ahead.
Shall even go up from year to year to worship the king.
So now they're going to come up. Not only is the Israelites are going to deal with the Most High's feast of tabernacles, but all the nations as well. All of them. And if they refuse not to come and not to reverence the king and the people, go ahead.
To worship the king, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the feast of tabernacles.
So that's what now what we do in the Feast of Tabernacles is also called the Feast of Booths. So we dwell in tents. So guess what? The other nations, they're gonna have to do the same thing. And the funny thing is like I set my tent up in the backyard all the time, you know, and I know my neighbors, they nosy, they see, they got cameras. They were like, what is he doing? You know, he out there again in that tent again, or you know, but don't worry, they're gonna be doing the same thing. And the funny thing about tabernacles, the kids love it, you know. For those who don't have a backyard, you set the tent up in the house. Oh, the kids think it's playtime, you know, but they actually rehearsing the righteous acts of the Lord. They actually keeping what thus said the Lord and the law. Okay, so all nations are going to come up and keep the Feast of Tabernacles. Read on.
Verse 17. And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem.
What's going to happen to him?
To worship the king, the Lord of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain.
See, there'll be no rain. We know that what? The water gives what? Life. And at that time, that everything is going to be put in order. Everything. You don't, trust me, there ain't going to be no grocery stores. All these nations, they're going to have to grow their food like back in the day. So when the Most High said, oh, so, and then it's funny because in 18, he's going to pick out certain nations. They must be hard-headed because he put it in there, right? But all them other nations, they're going to find out as well. But he's saying Egypt, we ain't going up there. To hell with them Israelites. You know, forget all of that. We the people. So the Most High said he'd bring no rain upon them. Verse 18.
Verse 18. And if the family of Egypt go not up and come not, that have no rain, there shall be the plague.
So let's keep that in mind, because you know what? When this time do come, at least we can say, and now we can go back in our memory bank and be like, you know what, them damn Egyptians, they ain't come up, huh? That was way back in the day when we was in America, and they still acting a fool. So you know what? We're gonna see what's gonna happen to them. Go ahead.
There shall be the plague.
There should be a what?
There shall be the plague.
So now the Most High said no rain, as well as he gonna put plagues on them. Go ahead.
Wherewith the Lord will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles.
How about that? So the Most High said he's gonna put them to death for this very same tabernacles, which we're about to approach right after the Day of Atonement. And our tabernacles, we have a good time too. It's a time to actually reflect back upon the reason why we're dwelling in booths, but as well as to disconnect as well. We've been bombarded with so much electronics and and work and the information that is being spilled upon us daily. We get a chance to just disconnect for a while, reverence the Most High, and actually spend time with sisters and brothers as well. Takes us out of our comfort zone as well. Because I know at the end of we only do like 3 days, but to be honest with you, when I hit that bed, I'm telling you, I'll be like, wow, good grief. If I had to do this for like 40 years in the wilderness, I don't know, I had to give me some goose feathers or something. Because,
Let's be clear. Outdoors, outside camping, we're doing 4 days.
4 days,
But
okay.
it did sound like we only do 3 days out of the 8. Like we only in tents 3 days.
Oh, well, 4 days. Okay, one more day.
No,
okay.
on the campsite.
Oh, yeah.
On the campsite.
Oh, on the campsite. I got
all
you.
8 days.
Okay. All right, I got you. I got you. I got you.
Outside camping, 4 days.
You got it. You got it. See, that's my brother Ike. He precise. Like, boom, boom. Hey, man, make sure you say it right. Baby, watch it, huh? Yeah, I heard that. Okay, so to make it clear, we do the 8 days, but as far as camping wise, we do 4 days. Okay. All right, that's for the naysayers and all them out there. Like I said, well, so be it. But the point is that if they don't come up and reverence this holy feast day, the Most High said he's gonna put plagues on them and no rain. Okay, and he won't smite them. Period. Was that 19?
No.
Go ahead.
Verse 19. This shall be the punishment of Egypt and the punishment of all nations that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles.
All right. So keep that in mind, because he specifically said he said all nations, but he keep pointing Egypt. So something going on when this time do come. Something's going on. All right. That's right. So now we got it. We got the 8 days. So now that's what I want to do. I just wanted to answer that question, but from there, I just want to leave you guys with something. I actually want to leave you guys with the annual feast days, meaning that since we in this season and we're talking about the holy convocational days, there's 3 holy convocations that men are supposed to meet every year, with no excuses. There's 3 mandatory that men must attend. So let's go to the book of Exodus. Exodus chapter 23. 23, we're gonna read 14. But this is the first one. Actually, don't go there. Actually, go to Deuteronomy 16 and 16 first, and then I'm gonna come back.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Then I'm gonna come back.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16, in verse 16. 3 times in a year shall all thy males appear before the Lord thy God.
See, 3 times of the year, all males shall appear before the Most High. Go ahead.
In the place which ye shall choose, in the feast of unleavened bread,
okay,
and in the feast of weeks, and in the feast of tabernacles,
and in the feast of tabernacles.
And they shall not appear before the Lord empty.
Exactly. So they should not appear before the Lord empty. Now go into Exodus chapter 23, and we're going to read 14 and 17.
The book of Exodus chapter 23 and verse 14. 3 times thou shalt keep a feast unto me in the year.
Right. So now I think I wanted to go there first because Exodus comes before Deuteronomy. So I just want to start from the beginning of where the Most High actually placed this law upon the children of Israel. and especially upon the males of the children of Israel. But go ahead.
Verse 15. Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread.
So we know that that's the Passover. Okay, go ahead.
Thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days, as I commanded thee, in the time appointed in the month of Bib. For in it thou camest out from Egypt, and none shall appear before me empty.
Isn't that something? We got the 7, and we got Egypt again. Go ahead.
And the feast of harvest.
Right. So now the feast of harvest. Go ahead.
The first fruits of thy labor, which thou hast sown in the field, and the feast of ingathering, which is in the end of the year, when thou hast gathered in thy labors out of the field.
Keep going.
3 times in the year all thy males shall appear before the Lord God.
There you go. So all the males shall appear before the Lord thy God. And he said, you should not come empty. So you ain't just coming empty-handed thinking, oh, well, they're going to have food there anyway. No, you got to bring something, no matter what. No matter what. But I also wanted to just go in and just point out when it says the Feast of Harvest. Now, dealing with the Feast of Harvest, right? It's called also the first fruits. It's also called the sheaf waving offering. All right. Let's go to you in Exodus, right? Let's go to Exodus chapter 34. Because that way it goes under like say 1, 2, 3, 4 names. It goes through under 4 names, but it's still the same feast. Exodus chapter 34, and start reading at 22.
Book of Exodus chapter 34 and verse 22. And thou shalt observe the feast of weeks of the first
feast
fruit.
Of what?
The feast of weeks.
Keep that in mind, because that's what it said there. Go ahead.
Of the first fruit of wheat harvest.
There it is again. The first fruits of the wheat harvest. See, it goes by like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4 names. Go ahead.
And the feast of ingathering at the year's end.
And the feast of ingathering. Ingathering is the tabernacles. Okay. So from there, let's get it again. And let's see. What we at? Exodus?
Let's go 34.
Let's go to Leviticus chapter 23. And we're going to hear him say it again under similar to the same name. Leviticus chapter 23 and verses 15 and 16.
Book of Leviticus chapter 23 verse 15. And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that ye brought the sheaf offering.
See, there
the sheaf of the wave offering.
There you go, the sheaf of the wave offering. Go ahead.
7 Sabbaths shall be complete. Even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall ye number 50 days, and ye shall offer a new meat offering unto the Lord.
Right. So now when it says the 50 days, let's go. The 50 days represent Pentecost. So it also go under the name. It goes under the name of the ingathering. It goes under the name of the sheaf offering, first fruits, Pentecost, because here it's telling you as far as the 50 days that we're supposed to count. So let's go into Acts. Let's get it in the New Testament, because I could not find Pentecost in the Old Testament, so-called Old Testament. It's only called Pentecost in the New Testament, but it still means the same thing. Acts chapter 2. Acts chapter 2 and start at 1.
Book of Acts chapter 2 and verse 1. And when the day of Pentecost was fully come, they were all with one accord in one place.
Right. So now there's Pentecost. Right. There's Pentecost right there. Stay in Acts and go to 20 and verse 16.
Book of Acts chapter 20 and verse 16. For Paul had determined to sail by Ephesus, because he would not spend the time in Asia, for he hasted if it were possible for him to be at Jerusalem on the day of Pentecost.
On the day of Pentecost. Just wanted to bring out Pentecost in that. And Pentecost is dealing with 50 days, as well as, in the Greek. What is it in the Greek? It's called Pentecost. That is in the Greek, huh? Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that is in the Greek. So in the Greek, it's called Pentecost. But like I said, it goes under several names, but it's still dealing with that particular same feast day. Okay. And then tabernacles is also going under the name of the ingathering. So if we can go back to that, what was that at? That Exodus. Go back to that Exodus, and then we're going Exodus at 23. Because I like to go from the beginning. I like to get it from the beginning and then watch it travel throughout, the other scriptures, which give it may go under another name, or it may be a particular time in history that something may take place. But I like to get it from the original source. What's the Exodus 23?
Mm-hmm.
And that 14.
Book of Exodus, chapter 23, verse 14.
Matter of fact, read 16. I'm sorry.
Verse 16.
Yeah.
And the feast of harvest, the first fruits of thy labor, which thou hast sown in the field, and the feast of ingathering, which is in the end of the year, when thou hast gathered in thy labors out of the field.
Out of the field. So that's what tabernacles is our ingathering. That's when we actually start to bring in our fruits and our labors, okay, during that 7 month. So now we learned something. We learned that there's 8 Sabbaths in the 7th month, of our Hebrew calendar. And we also learned about this number 7, how significant it is throughout the scriptures. And when you're dealing with 7, it also some scriptures that deal with the 70 elders, in the book of Revelations. So just wanted to leave y'all with that, Israel. And that's the end of this particular class. And I say blessed Sabbath to all, and I hope someone got something out of it. All right, shalom.